All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for our final session here of the National Campus Community Radio Conference, number 42. My name is Barry Rook. I'm the Executive Director of the NCRA.
Hello, I'm Eloisa Valise. I'm the Marketing Outreach Coordinator for the NCRA.
This session is our music distribution system called Earshot Distro. We're going to be focusing on highlighting the use of the package and all of that, somewhat on the musician artist side of things, but we're also open things up so that the broadcasters can see it as well. So we'll tell you a little bit about us, what is the system, how to use it, best practices, and then getting more out of the radio stations and the connections from the studies that we went through as well. So a little bit about us. I'm the executive director. I've been here in this role for just over 9 years now. I started in 1999 as a volunteer host at CFRU at the University of Guelph radio station. So I came into this from the producer or the programmer's background. I was an electronic nightclub, late night DJ type thing. And I would get a lot of content sent to me through music pools. And then when I moved to the national side of things, I was quite surprised that there was no system in place. So that's how Earshot Distro was born.
I actually studied marketing communications, and I joined the NCRA in 2020, and that was when Earshot was already fully functional. But we just wanted to update and reboot it, and that's how I got started as the lead coordinator for Earshot.
So the NCRA, not-for-profit, has been around since '86. We have 125 nonprofit independent radio stations across the country. A handful of them are in the room today and watching online. These are campus, community, or indigenous licensed stations, or they might be unlicensed and operate online only. Typically, each station has possibly a few staff, but is volunteer run, who oversees the content that goes on the air. So that could be the station programs, what music gets sent to them, or the programmers find their own content and then put that on the air as their sort of preferred method of showcasing what their music expertise is. So there is a blend and a mix between those two differences as well. You can see our membership is from all across the country, which is fantastic. And we do have quite a few of these stations are utilizing our system as well. I did want to highlight the financial element side of things. All of this is above board, which is great. Sending content to people in other ways through like Bandcamp and so on is technically not within the copyright tariff rules. So we wanted to make sure we have a system that follows all of those rules, and we encourage our members to do the same. It's sort of a triangle. SOCAN pays musicians, artists for when they get on the air. In this case, the artists pay a small fee, we'll get to that in a second, in order to get their music distributed through the platform. And then the radio stations pay a licensing fee. It's 1.9% of their total previous year's revenue to SOCAN and the artists so that they can get on the air playing their content legally. In the community radio system, it's not a lot of money, but it is an important part and process to everything. If you happen to be a musician and you get some commercial success, you'll notice that there's more money through the commercial broadcasters, which obviously makes a lot of sense.
I guess we can talk a little bit about our competitors, the cost, Earshot charts, and factor, and what we're doing now and what's to come. So the alternative methods to Earshot Distro is obviously the good old mail-in CDs, emails, Dunkaroo, Play MPE, and then during the pandemic, this is kind of how Earshot fully got launched. Is that a lot of stations weren't unable to get to their stations and get their hands on the CDs that artists were sending them. And CD costs, as you may know, it's a lot of time, a lot of expenses, manufacturing, mailing, processing, content archived, all of that. And a lot of stations, even though they still accept CDs, they are mostly digital, or they only accept CDs from their local artists. So that is a good thing to remember whenever you're sending emails and actual physical mail to stations. And the cost, it is $50 for an album, which is 8 to 20 songs, and then $7 for a single song plus tax. You can get referrals from stations or from labels that have a referral account with us, or you can get coupons that we have running right now. Right now, we have the Maple Grand coupons from a handful of music associations across the country. And we will be giving out a coupon for everyone sharing, on the Zoom today. So stick around for that as well. And a little bit about Earshot charts. Even though it's a very similar name, they're not completely intertwined. Earshot charts is where stations submit their charting, and it's managed by the stations. You may also check out the website. We'll get to the website in a second. But that is overall where stations submit their charts, and why you want stations to submit to your charts is they overall help you with your
Factor.
with factor and getting up at that level as well. And after that, you can get some bigger what's it called?
You would sort of get yourself into a new classification if you reach the national charts, which might be the difference from a $5,000 to help with your album to say $50,000 to go tour. So getting on the national charts beyond just being cool that you've made it on a bunch of radio stations and are charting nationally, there are some benefits to it tied to factor specifically as well.
And that's what the website looks like, earshot-online.com. And you can always check it out and see if you're charting on there.
We are looking at trying to work towards some future automation as well. So that's both for the charts and for the SOCAN process. Right now, SOCAN only does 2 weeks per year per station in our sector. We're hoping that we're going to be able to expand that to 24/7, 365, and automate it so that the radio stations don't have to do it, and the artists that get on the air get credit for getting on the air regardless of when that was, if it wasn't during a reporting period. It's frustrating if you put a song out or an album out and it charts for 10 weeks at the top of that station and then drops off, and you missed it by a day or two on one side or the other, and you get no recognition for it even though you were the biggest album of the year on that station. So we're hoping that we can work with SOCAN to make those changes happen as well.
Yeah, I guess a little bit of the status of the updates that are implemented already. Earshot is fully bilingual, French and English. Um, we have created a license where you can get permission for podcasts to use your music. That we know of, we're the only music distribution that allows you to share your music specifically with podcasts, though we do obviously say caution to podcasters about copyright and such. We are actively always looking to work with Archives Canada as a national archive to archive some incredible Canadian music. And I mean, Earshot Distro has 40,000 plus music on there that we are hopefully looking to archive for the future.
And we're talking about expansion to the US and worldwide right now. Right now, it is a Canadian-focused, Canada-only system. You don't have to be a CanCon artist to use it, but you do have to have a Canadian credit card for our tax purposes to be able to participate in it. So anything that's in there, we consider Canadian, whether or not you're actually it or not. So we'll go over the walkthrough of using the system, these are sort of the steps that process goes through. I'll very quickly first show you the website. So it's earshot-distro.ca. Under the site, you can learn all about the system, our full service options, newsletters, posters, reports on our consultation with the music and radio stations for best practices around distribution. We'll get into a little bit of that later. Who's using it in our various different programs and shows, what radio stations are using it, as well as a strong support system on there. So there's a user guide, there's video, there'll be a copy of this presentation put up on there as well if it goes well. And we'll try to keep everything as updated as possible. And of course, if you have some challenges, you reach out to support@earshot-distro.ca and you will reach
Me. You'll reach me, and I hopefully get back to you as soon as I can, if whenever you have questions.
If you're looking to sign up, you simply click the sign up button, select where you best fit in this area here. The real difference between a label and distributor and the independent artist is simply that you can upload multiple artists under the label/distributor. So if you happen to have an alias, or say you're working with friends or whatnot, just sign up as a label. There's really no difference beyond any of that side of things. When you get signed up, it will take you to you'll have a sign up page and a sign in page, and it will end up taking you to your main dashboard. So I'm just logging in here, and I think nope, I logged into the wrong one. This is the broadcaster account. I'll circle back and I'll show you that one later on if people want to see what the broadcasters see. We'll start with the musician side of things. I'll walk through this one and then you can show the broadcasters one.
Yeah.
So when you land, what you see in front of you is your dashboard. It shows you your artist, total number of songs, all the people as underneath your label or your distribution group. You'll notice on the top there's 3 buttons for songs, artists, and releases. We look at this as sort of building a pizza. All the songs go on to a release, and they're all associated with an artist. So you sort of have to create a release first. You have to create an artist first, then you create a release under the artist, and then you put the songs under the release. And your release has a couple of different formats, and we'll show you how that works. The easiest way to get started is simply by clicking the upload button, upload songs here. It's going to start by saying, who's your artist? So if you're going to create an artist, you're going to put your name, an alias, if you have one, a biography, upload a photo, and then you're going to indicate which town or city and province you're in. There is the option to be Canada-wide. If you're Canada-wide, you obviously don't have a town or a city, and we're only suggesting you use Canada-wide if you have, say, a band or a group that has multiple artists from different places. It is really important that you try to narrow yourself to where your community is, because if your community is looking specifically for content out of that area, it's going to be a lot easier for them to find. We have a radio station, for example, in Ottawa that only plays music from Ottawa artists. If you're not listed as Ottawa, they're going to be very hard for you to find them. That's just the example. I'm not going to create an artist at this point because then I have to type a whole bunch of stuff out, and I don't want to do that. So we're going to pick Adam because Adam here is at the top of the list and it's easy to work with. We're going to move to step 2. Step 2 is the release portion of things. Again, to click create a release, you'll note that we're looking for the title of the release, the artist, uploading content. The release type here is where your structure comes for your finance and your paying of everything. So if you're doing a compilation or an album, so that's $50 for up to 20 songs. We highly suggest that you select that if you have 8 or more, if my math is still correct. If you go ahead and select single and upload 20 songs, you're going to be paying $7 times 20, even if you call it an album. It'll be sort of classified incorrectly and you're going to pay the difference on it. So just be mindful of that, of selecting what makes sense. And again, single, EP, these are just sort of old terms tied to back in the day when you're doing releases. It's really up to you to decide how you want to put things out. We often get the question of, oh, if I have a single and I want to put it out in advance of my album, should I release a single and then release an album, or can it be done separate times? And our answer is at this point, just pay the extra $7 if you're putting out the CD, and your album or your song will be in both places, the album and the single, and might be a little bit easier to find if you want to go ahead and put out a single or an EP from an album before it gets released. Most stations still prefer albums as a whole. It's a lot easier to process an entire album and make that available for their membership as opposed to picking off individual songs. But that's why we have the flexibility here to do so. You're going to select a genre. These are our top level genres that are tied to CRTC elements. And what this does is this allows you to dig down. So if Adam Nix is electronic, once you select a genre, you have the opportunity to select a subgenre. So in electronic music, there's house, techno, trance, all of those types of things. So we're going to select house, and you'll notice that we even get as far down as a hyper genre. You don't have to select these. You have to select the top level genre. If you don't want to do your subgenre and your hyper genre, you can skip it. But if I'm an artist who is a French house DJ and all I want is French house, it'll be a lot easier to find your song if you have your genre, your subgenre, and your hypergenre submitted. If I'm just looking for house, I'm still going to find your song. If I'm just looking for electronic, I'm still going to find your song. So the hypergenre allows you to be as specific and niche as possible. The clean context not required means that it's radio friendly. If you are uploading your material, we highly recommend you upload a radio-friendly version and make that very well known if you have content on a song that is not radio-friendly. Maybe in the song title, write explicit or something of that nature. It is very easy for you to get pulled off a radio station when your song drops some inappropriate content at 2 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon. Stations don't like to be surprised by inappropriate language and content. Does not mean that if you're putting up something that's musically creative, that people won't play something that's explicit. They just need to know before they're going into that process. So we highly recommend an explicit and a radio-friendly version, both clearly labeled. That checkbox will help when people are searching for it. The city and the region stuff, we talked about that already. System release date is the date in which the system becomes, or the release becomes available in our system. Meaning if you want to pre-schedule something for next week, you can do all the work, schedule it, and it will become live in our system on the date that you've done it. If you want it to go out right away, put it today's date. When you go through the processing part, it'll be available on the system within a few minutes once it's done its background audio processing. If you backdate it, it'll be available as in line with all of those dates back then. The public release date is designed for back catalogs or sort of exclusivity. So if you want to upload your back catalog, put the public release date there. That way the artist doesn't go, oh, wow, I thought you have a brand new album out. Or if the programmer thinks you have a new album and actually it's something you put out 5 years ago, they know when the actual album was out. The public release date does not impact when it goes live on the system or not. It's just good for reference points and all of that. If you have any info on your lyricist, composer, distributor, publisher, or label, please identify these. Licensing, if you want it to be available to be played in the background for a station advertisement, which is great for stations, choose that license. You can stack these licenses, by the way. If you want to try to license it for a compilation, you can do that. And there's podcast as well. So if you want your song to be podcast friendly, you're welcome to allow that. But 1 out of every 4 songs on the system are podcast friendly. Doesn't mean Spotify won't take your podcast down because they hear music. But if you put it up, in other ways, it's technically considered podcast friendly and copyright free and licensed specifically for that use. So that's pretty neat. In here, you've got artist characteristics. So if you identify as one of these 5 or multiple of those 5, we highly recommend you select it. This is not going to restrict you. This is going to help people who are looking for that type of content. So if I'm only looking for French Canadian music, searching with the Franco-Con designation in the search function is going to make it a lot easier for me to find you in that element. So these are all self-identified things. If you are not that, please don't select it. And then finally, for the release, you are selecting MAPL, which is your CanCon requirements. If you are 2 of the top 4, you are considered Canadian content friendly. And in this, you will get a little Canadian flag associated beside your name in the search function. If you have an old song before 72, then you would be selecting out of the bottom section of 3, and you can still be considered CanCon. And when all of that is done, you simply hit the save button, and you've created your release or album. All of this basic information then gets projected onto the songs that you do, other than the name, and you can customize those songs. I'm not going to build a release because, again, we don't need to do that. So I'm going to click here, Calgary NCRC41 demo. This is last year. I did all that work. We click next. And then what I would do is I'd click and select the WAV or FLAC files that are available on the website or on my hard drive. We don't take MP3s. We want you to upload the best quality possible. The radio stations have the ability to download in lower quality MP3. We just don't want garbage going in. The stations want it at a lower quality. They can download it at a lower quality. We're going to pretend I made an upload, and what it will end up doing is it'll end up taking me to another page. That page is the songs awaiting payment page. And if we take a look at, say, Calgary, we could see that's what was uploaded as a pretend for the last one. If I want to pay that, I'm selecting the pay process and clicking the green payment button. And then this is going to walk us through our cart. So the cart's pretty easy to do. You've got the artist name, what your price point is. There's the basic information. When I click continue, it's going to take me to another page here for the billing details. You can see that this has applied a referral discount. So what was originally $7 is now $5.51. And then I would put my payment info here on the side and click complete purchase. And then it will process for a moment or so. Your song will become live in a few minutes if you selected it for the day. Once it does the audio processing, if it's not that day, it'll hold it for that later time. So that's how you put a song live. The last thing that I'll show you is the songs element. So like I said, when you arrive, you're going to see these songs awaiting payment. You do have the ability to edit the songs that you uploaded. In that edit, you'll see all sorts of different, very similar information, but you can go a lot deeper per each song. So we're specifically asking you to put things like your ISRC code in for fingerprint purposes and technologies for tracking. But if you can, put your beats per minute in. And it goes into other things like, is it instrumental or not? Is it related to someone? Who is the original artist? Are there moods? Are there specific individual licensing? You can add tags to it, and there's hundreds of tags to choose from if you think that song is both energetic and introspective. People like to sort and search by a variety of different things. We try to make it as viable as possible. You can upload lyrics to it as well. And again, you can modify the individual song if it has different MAPL compliance or codes or anything of that nature. So that's the generalized breakdown of the artist upload process. The last two things that I want to show you are tied to the dashboard. You'll see this one that says recent interactions. There's a number. If I click the number, it's going to show me when the song was looked at or listened to by radio stations. It's going to tell you what station it is, what's that interactive type, the name of the song, and then when that happened. So we can see that in this case, Kootenai Co-op Radio downloaded the song. If you're reading the interactions, downloaded means that the station or host has downloaded the song. You can assume that they're going to put it in their library or play it, but we don't have proof of that at this time. If they select the support option, that's kind of like them saying, yeah, we're going to play it. It's a little bit more verification that it's getting played. If they've listened to it, but they haven't downloaded it, there's no way to stream songs from this system direct to play out. You're going to assume that that host decided not to grab your material. They listened to it, but they haven't sort of grabbed it as well. So that's the interactions. And the last one that I'll point up here is we have a messaging option. So if the radio stations want to reach out to you, they can reach out to you through this system, and sometimes there'll be communications. Maybe they'll be like, oh, we loved your song. Can you send us a voiceover to go with it on the air or something like that? So there's the possibility for them to make that connection. You can't directly within the system reach out to the stations. The stations have provided us with a form, and I'll show you that in a minute, and we'll walk through that in detail. But that's the outreach button right there, which will take you to another web page. And we'll go over that in just a minute, but I just wanted you to see where that opportunity and option was. So that is the system. You can also check your account and update some information and whatnot to it. You can add people to your account for access points and all of that as well. So that's the music broadcaster, the music artist upload side of things. Eloise is going to show you very quickly the music broadcaster side of things of what they see on this side of things.
Yeah, and I also wanted to add before we move to the broadcasters that if you uploaded your album and you realize some of the songs are not in the right order or some of the songs, the titles are not correct, you can still edit the information in the release and the song even after the album is out. The only thing you can't do is add more songs while the payment process is done. So that's just something to keep in mind while you're working on your upload and even afterwards, and if you have questions about that. So this is what the broadcaster one looks like. This is what stations are going to be looking at when they are searching for your music. So there's a lot to go over. There's a lot of features that stations can use. There's a review later function. We also have syndicated programming in the system, in which allows stations to browse programming for their station. So that's where you see programs and interactions there, and you can create campaigns as well. Was a quick overview if you just go to search. Here you will see we have almost 40,000 songs down there. This is just the overall latest uploads. It goes by the latest one goes to the top. So the most recent one is Freedom Principle, which is our programming show. And then the one before that was Layback by Shannon Chapman, who uploaded a single. Here you can see if it's a single or an album, and you can see the genre, R&B, alternative, and this is a little maple flag that just lets the station know that your Canadian is Canadian content by the maple compliance rules. And then we have the search, advanced search function here. You can look up artist, composer directly. You can look up songs from 7 days ago, from today, from yesterday, song duration, BPM, genres. You can go very specific. You can go just alternative, or you can go alternative rock. So we can narrow it down. Let's go alternative today. And you can also, maybe you want to do all the songs you have listened to or all the songs you have not listened to. We'll reserve it to all the songs. You can narrow that by city, the rating, if it's clean content or not. If it's instrumental, let's see. Today we're looking for alternative femcon. You can also narrow that by licenses, the tags, and you can also search. Save this search if it's something that you're always looking for as a station. So let's see how it narrows it down. So now we have 1,261 songs that are specifically alternative and femcon. As you can see, it's very useful to narrow down, and that's why it is when you are making your upload, it is very important that you fill out all the information if you can. Really helps narrow down that information when stations are looking for something very specific and niche for their programming.
Yeah, and with all the other stuff, like there's a whole bunch of the other benefits there. We're not going to go into it, but that's the quick way of how a broadcaster would search. They do have the upload function, which runs almost exactly the same way that the artist does. We just use the word program instead of releases and show instead of songs.
Yeah.
So that's the system itself. We'll jump back to it if people have any questions as we get towards the end of this portion. But we'll jump into some of the best practices that we have here going forward. There is a possibility once you've created a song or an album, there's a little copy link URL that is created. This is a great way to be able to share that song or album link to somebody who has access to it. So here's Too Late to the Party that literally just says, hey, we got a new album. Here's the link to it. Go grab it. And if I'm logged in as a broadcaster, one click, boom, I'm there and I can download the songs instantly. There's no searching or anything like that. So that's a great example of a copy share URL function. When you're sending information to radio stations, we encourage you to share direct download links, not buy links. Obviously, there's no buy process in our system, but if you are sharing outside of Earshot Distro, stations can't really and don't really buy content to go on the air. We would encourage you to put a basic one sheet, what it sounds like, so people have an understanding of a similar artist. Any pronunciation for the song or an artist name, make sure it's phonetically spelled out or anything else. Again, that clean lyric advisory is quite critical. And if you are, again, outside of the system here and sending digital files like MP3s, you really need to make sure that there's metadata in those files. I can tell you it is incredibly frustrating as a radio station to open up album and it just says album in the file, the zip file that was sent along, and then it's track 1, track 2, track 3, and there's no information about anything. And that's a very quick way to have all of your content just discarded because it's impossible to find out who and what you were doing. Those problems are solved using our system because it transposes the content from Earshot Distro that you uploaded into the metadata. So there's no problem with that, but some best practices as well. We also mentioned that there is a contact list. So that outreach button is going to take you to a Google form that's got about 30 or 40 stations on it and about as many programmers. The stations give us information. So this is CKVS in Salmon Arm, BC. It tells you who's in charge of what genres they're looking for, what genres they're not looking for, what formats, how to send it to them, etc. You have the ability to browse this system through it, that jump out page. And when you're there using the search functionality, it's really great to sort of throw in your large genre so that you're able to find who is and who is not looking for it. So as Janet says here, they do not play dark metal, hip hop, or rap on their station. So sending them the song is not going to necessarily encourage them to play. They're going to just be frustrated that you didn't listen to the instructions and you sent them over there. So take your time looking through that system. That is the preferred contact method of following up from the upload if you want to specifically reach any other people.
Yes, I guess what else, when you reach out to stations, what else you can do? You can reached out and let them know you are down to do interviews if you're around their city or if you're from that city, if you're touring. Also, hosting shows, you can reach out to your stations and let them know. But us specifically, we have Earshot Daily, which is a daily show that plays across a handful of our stations, and it is the content that is uploaded to Earshot Distro. So if you reach out to Earshot Daily, you can be a host and also play your own music on the show, which is very exciting. Um, yeah, like you can reach out to stations and let them know. You can do an intro. Hello, my name is this and that, and I'm being played at CKDU. Stuff like that. They always love when artists send that over, but make sure to ask first. Same with, tagging on social media. Right now, that's a little bit hard to do, but, in the past, that's a preferred function as well. T-shirts, stickers, stuff like that. And the recommendation that we have is the Google Alerts. Set one for yourself so you know when stations are including you on their website. Specifically us as well. I upload a weekly newsletter to the music directors every week when you upload to Earshot. And I always get artists commenting like, I saw that you posted me on the website because you share my new music. So stuff like that is really helpful just to kind of navigate and find where you're being shared on the internet as well.
So that takes us to the end of the sort of presentation part. You'll notice in white there is a code on the side there, 2NLXDM10. I would suggest you write that down if you're an artist. That is a coupon code for 100% off your first release. So you will get a free upload, whether that's a single or an entire album. For using the system for being here with us, it'll work one time per account. So just to let you know there. And of course, if you have a referral code when you sign up, put that in. That will help you with 25% off your first 10 uploads, 5% off after that, and give some credits back to the radio station if that's who you got it from. We also have a code too, so you can come bug us and we can put that in. If I've already uploaded or launched an account that's already been started, contact Eloisa. We can make that adjustment shift happen. Same thing if, for example, you created an independent artist account and you actually wanted it to be a label account, we can change stuff like that in the back end. So that's essentially the system here. Do we have any questions about the system or anything that we could maybe provide ideas or input on the artist or the broadcaster side of things? I think, Wayne, you have one. I'm going to ask you to walk over to the microphone there. You'll have to turn it on and go from there. For the guys doing video, I'm going to go to the Zoom stream so I can see it, so you could probably flip that off and put us back on the shot as we go forward here. So Wayne, yeah, you can probably just, I don't know. Oh, is the button on? It's a button on at the top. Then you might have to just push that. Well, we'll get that. I'm just checking to see. Oh, there we go. I can hear you.
Thank you, Wayne Smith, QCCR, Liverpool. Two questions, one as an artist and one as a station. Can I check more than one license?
Yes.
And what, does it, remember when I did one, do I block save or how does that work?
License are simply stackable.
Oh,
You'll drop
just
the
keep
list
clicking, yeah.
down. Yeah,
Yep.
you'll drop the list, and when you click it, you'll see it'll pop up as very visible, and you can drop the list down and either uncheck it or check another box.
And as a station, can I be a distributor as well?
Yes. So if you are distributing your show or public service announcements in the system, it's already built in for you. If you want an artist account, we will make you a label account under your name. It'll be a separate login, but you will get that, and we do not charge the stations for uploads, so we'll set it so that there's no fee associated with that. So let's say you have a compilation that the station puts together and you want to distribute that compilation, that can be done for free using the system as long as you have the copyright approval to distribute that content.
So I could, to use my old school thinking, so I can be an artist and a station, and I can be a promoter as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
You would just have to create an account for a label and account for a station.
Uh,
Yeah.
A separate account.
Yeah.
Using under the station's rubric.
We will give you one and it will say station name / broadcast account, and the other one will say station name
Oh.
/ label account, or whatever you want to name it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, another question from the floor here. Just checking if anybody is tuned in online and they want to ask a question, feel free to type in the chat there and we can make sure we get it for you. Go ahead.
Sweet. Hi, I'm Cruz Wilson. I'm of CFXU up in Antigonish, and I'm also an artist myself. This question is coming as an artist. So as an artist, if I were to upload my music on, say, Spotify or something, you know, and do no other promotion, just upload it, it's not going to get probably any views, any attention. And I'm wondering if Earshot is kind of similar, where once I upload it, I need to continue to promote it and reach out and make contact with these stations, or if just uploading it itself will be enough to get it heard by some stations.
Well, so it really depends. I mean, yeah, all stations have access to the system, so you can upload it whenever and they'll have direct access. I mean, it really depends how often the station is checking it, or the programmer or the host. But the other way that we share your music is, like I said, we send out a newsletter every week to the music directors. That way they see it in their inbox. There's new music on Earshot. We highlight some singles and an album as well on there. So that's the way that we promote the artist uploading. But we also have the outreach function, like Barry said. So you do have that option to go the extra mile and contact stations. I mean, that is also a great way to just create a relation with stations. As you've seen, we've talked a lot during the conference, how that connection is really important as well in building that community. So we also just suggest doing that just for the purpose of getting to know your station and they get to know you. But you can't just upload to the system and just kind of, like you said, like hope for the best. But we do have best practices that reaching out to them, it is worth it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions from the floor here? Yes, Craig, go ahead. Just checking online as well. If anybody has written anything, they have not. We do have a few people online, so hello to those online. Go ahead, Craig.
Hi, I might have missed this. This is the code that you're talking about. A few years ago, we mentioned this system to a couple of artists. I know they put stuff up there, and that's great. I wouldn't mind doing something out to a lot of people we've worked with recently. Could I use the code you provided to send it out in mass, like to 60 people?
Yeah, so that referral code that we would have given you, or as a station, you can regenerate new ones if you want to track the differences on our side. And when we do our back end accounting, it all shows up under the station's name. That is all automatically built into the system. And twice a year, we sort of reconcile everybody's account, and we then will let you know, you've got X amount in credits. We can either pay you out, we can apply them to your membership dues, we can give them back to you as whatever to give out. If you also want, we are happy to create coupon codes for your station as thank yous for whatever it is that you need to do. So it can be like a benefit for your station to, and I know, for example, you have artists come and play on the station all the time. Super happy to give away a code that you can then simply give them and they get a free upload or a free album upload or whatever at no cost. It doesn't necessarily hurt us much because we do charge to maintain the system. We're not trying to generate a lot of revenue off of it, but we know that this could be a huge benefit to you as a station. So for example, we've got about a dozen artists or so that have played with us throughout the week. We're going to thank them with a coupon code themselves for free uploads as well. So if you want to do that, Eloisa is your contact point, and you can make
just
that happen.
Follow
Yeah.
up post this event. Thank you.
Yeah,
Of course.
thank you.
Linda from CESF. I just have a question about, you were saying the artists can actually see which stations play their music and all that stuff. How do you guys get the information from there? Is that from DJ Land, transferred to Earshot?
So what we are able to show is what the radio stations did with the artist's material, whether they listened to it, downloaded it, or said supported, which we assume means that they've played. It's not directly connected to like the online stream or anything like that at this time. We're working on that. We've got a plan to be able to make it connected, which would include things like seeing where it was played, at what time it was played, on at what station, and hopefully in the long run, how many people were listening at that time. So you could actually have that, you know, experience of being like, wow, Sydney, we should have been attacked by a moth or whatever. Wow, Sydney radio station here played our song 17 times and there was like 40,000 people that listened to it over that period of time. Maybe we should come do a party in Sydney. That is a long-term tech plan that we have in place. Right now, there's no direct connection, unfortunately, between the radio stations playing it and the feedback in, but there's a dream there.
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Go right ahead. We got, yeah.
Very Canadian moment just there.
You first, you first.
Yeah. So I'm Derek from CKXU in Lethbridge, Alberta. And actually, I was going to ask the question that she just asked, but so I have a follow-up then. And so like things like Spinatron that do track things that are played, is that something that you could tie into?
Have you read our tech plan? Yes.
No, I have not.
That is what we're actively looking at. We're trying to figure out a
Oh.
fingerprint ID system
Okay.
that will essentially be able to generate automatic logs
Right.
and charts from the radio station's playlist and what they played automatically. So then as a radio station, you don't have to even log what was played from our system plus the other databases, and then create a chart, a log, etc. We would be attaching something like what's called stats radio to that system. Then it would have a when it was played, what is it, and how many listeners, and that would then go back to the artist as well as the stations and other groups to be able to see what real authentic transactions and traction is happening across the country. Because right now, we just don't know. The station's technology platforms are not that smart.
Connect some of those additional dots.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. But we are probably realistically 3 years away from that. We
Yeah.
will need $500,000 to put all of that together. And
Mhm.
we are a not-for-profit organization. This is the NCRA
Mhm.
full-time staff that are here. So we're a small group, but we're working specifically on it. And yes, that's one of their key primary goals got going forward.
I think you mentioned other countries, or that might have been earlier, but is there any prospect of music from other countries and uploads and that? I mean, in respect of CanCon, of course, but.
Yeah, so that is something that we're looking into. We are in the process of hiring a director of operations at the NCRA who's going to be working to monetize our non-member revenue dues, meaning Earshot Distro is one of those primary areas. So that person, when hired, will be working with Eloisa and trying to identify possible opportunities. I would assume the first would be getting our content from Canada out of the country into the hands of our friends in the States and around the world. The second would be getting that content into the hands of radio stations. It becomes more complex because of the taxation system. And, you know, the states are individual states. We would have to register in each of the states and pay taxes on each of the states. And we don't have a quick solution at this point for that solution. So that's one of the reasons why it hasn't been done. Plus, we want to really focus on Canadian content.
And in Canada, it's national, not by province, because you just mentioned states. So
Yep.
we don't have it both ways, just one way. right?
Exactly. And we
Yeah.
work because we are Ontario registered organization. You are paying HST regardless of where you are. And we just pay that back into our regular taxation system. Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Taxes are confusing, especially for not-for-profits. Go ahead.
Thanks, Wayne again, and QCCR. A SOCAN question. Is there a timeline, as if I understood it properly, the Earshot Distro is going to expand the traditional SOCAN if you're lucky, those 2 weeks a year to a year-long open availability, is there a timeline when that might happen? Or
There-
when? a goal?
That timeline is literally tied to our ability to create the product.
Okay.
And then the want and need of SOCAN to do it. Why SOCAN would say, no, we don't want real reporting information to be able to pay our members all the time is one, we haven't really bridged that process. If they say no, then that's an odd sort of thing on their side, and I would really question, is SOCAN actually doing what they should be doing for their members? But they haven't offered to pay us, put any money into the development side of it. This is all part of our big tech plan as we go forward.
We're really excited about this because we have been shamelessly not very diligent at our SOCAN tracking, I would confess. So we're really looking forward to this vehicle.
Yeah, and the hope is, again, so that you will have less work and you'll be able to do much more for the stage, for the artists. So yeah, that's the plan. Again, looking for probably $50,000 or $500,000 to make that happen, so.
Hi there, my name is Shelley Tobin. I'm a Cape Breton artist, actually a duo with my sister called Hearts of Kin. I just had two quick questions. The first one was in reference to the fee paid by artists to upload songs to the platform. I'm just wondering if that is, I guess, is there an expiration date on that? Is there a renewal, or is that indefinite, or how does that work?
Sure. I'll answer the not answer question and say your set earlier this week was awesome. I
Oh,
really
thank
enjoyed
you.
that.
So
Thank you
good.
so much.
I'll let Eloise answer the question.
Yes, yeah, that cost is set. We have no reason, have no plans to change it anytime in the future, and that is the cost for the uploads. There's no expiration date on it, and yeah, does that answer your question?
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
So that free promo code we're gonna get is gonna go a long way. So thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
And the other question that I had was really just out of sheer curiosity. I noticed when you were showing the I guess the broadcaster's view, the functions that they could search. There was one for artist rating, and I'm just curious, where does that come from? Is that from the other broadcasters who may perhaps have listened to the music, or?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the other broadcasters have the opportunity to set a rating for a song. They also have the ability to set a note, like a comment or a thought to it. When I was doing my show, I would typically rate the song and then leave a note being like, this is great, I'm putting it on my show next week, and give them the date and the link. And then that gets posted on the artist page, and the artist has the ability to see that as well. So it was designed originally for crowd and networking and sourcing, crowdsourcing of results. So that, if you're working with somebody else, you can quickly go through that and go like, oh yeah, I see Craig rated that song was a 3 out of 5. Is it worth me listening or not? It's not a highly used function, but it is there.
Sure. No, it sounds fantastic. And the only other question that I had, Cruz asked, so we're on the same page, and thank you. An awesome, fantastic platform. This is the first I'm hearing of it. We'll definitely be utilizing it. Sounds a lot easier than the painstaking way we've been doing it so far. So thank you so much.
Excellent. And if you want to share that, we can also set you up with a referral code, which will give you cash back and get all your friends to use it at a discounted price. So that is a possibility as well if you want to share that too.
Yes, email me. We'll get in touch.
Any other questions from the room? I don't see anything online at the moment. So if there is nothing else, we'll finish off. And thanks everybody for joining us here today. Thanks to everybody who helped with the event and happening, with the Factor sponsorship that we had here as well. So that's very important for us to be able to put on events like this and bring artists like those that we've talked to showcase here. If you are around tonight, we hope you join us for the gala. That's again starts at 6 p.m. And if you happen to be watching online, you can also rejoin using the same link and catch us live online starting at 7 o'clock is when the awards go. We have a couple of bands, and I think Town Heroes is being streamed live as well
Yes.
afterwards.
Yes, it is.
So
Around 9 p.m.
around 9 or so. So that's great. So thanks everybody for your time. Really appreciate it. If you've been here all day, all week with us, go take a nap or get outside or whatever it is you need to do to refresh yourself. as we say cheers to the place. Thanks again.
Thank you.